Welcome back to another episode of the IndieFilm Insider podcast. My name is Owen Carr, a DP and producer here with
Jake Rossbell, a writer and director.
And today we talked with Carson Bain. Now, Carson is actually one of my longtime friends. We've been friends for about 12, 13-ish years. And when I decided not to go to film school, he actually did go to film school over in CSU Northridge back in 2020. And so we talk a lot about film school, kind of his experience with it, how it works for people that haven't gone before or maybe who are interested in going. You'll find a lot of value in this conversation.
Carson has had the opportunity to work on some large productions like Guy's Grocery Games, where he was a PA. We also talked about his work for the world's largest TikToker, Khaby Lame. Yes, Mr. Khaby Lame. And that was also a very interesting experience for him. And as you know, there was some recent news about Mr. Khaby Lame in the little media circuit that's going on right now. So if you want to learn more about that, keep watching.
Yeah, it's a great episode with Carson, especially, like I said, if you want to learn about film school, if you haven't gone to film school and want to learn how it's like. So stay tuned for that. And if you enjoyed the content, be sure to like and subscribe.
Now, on to our conversation with Carson Bain.
Carson Bain, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
All right, first time, I guess it's everyone's first time, unless you're Ryan Sagan. Let's do a quick introduction for who you are, how you know me and us, and kind of what you do within the film world.
Sure, yeah. So I'm Carson. I'm 23. I just recently, last year, graduated from California State University, Northridge, with a Bachelor of Arts in Television Production. I've known Owen for, I don't know how long I've known
10
him.
years?
No, longer, like 15 probably.
Oh, right, because Emerson,
before,
7th grade wasn't the first time.
No, it was before. It was like fourth grade. Fourth grade. So I've known Owen since fourth grade. I've known
13
Jake
years.
For, just as long, pretty much. We used to make short films together. That was how I, not really got into filmmaking, but definitely helped, I think.
This is nepotism, the podcast.
No, definitely not. None of us are nepo babies. I can guarantee you that. At least not that. Well, I don't know, unless you get into the.
I would count that.
Yeah.
I don't think nepo babies has to be the same industry, because I have heard. I think it was like Clara or someone was like, "Oh, I'm not a nepo baby because my dad actually does acting. I do singing, so I'm not. It's not the same thing."
Definitely doesn't help,
Which is like, okay, whatever, bro.
But yeah, I mostly, when I was in school, I did mostly camera work when I was working on student films and stuff, and then I've also worked on a couple professional sets that we will definitely talk about. I know one that we will talk about at least, and I've worked with a TikToker that we will also get into. I'm sure you guys might have questions about that.
Do you have an NDA for that?
I don't have an NDA.
Let's go.
I will refrain from saying certain things, but I don't have an NDA, and we will get into that later in the podcast. I will guarantee you.
Do you have any chance of working with him again?
No. Well, if you've seen recent news that we can also get into later in the podcast, then you haven't heard about this?
No.
Oh, this is gonna be fun.
I know who the TikToker is, but I don't know what news you're referring to.
Okay, I'll break the news very late. This happened last week, but I'll break it to you guys later.
All right.
We'll have a segment on it. And then what else? Where was I? We can cut that.
Just about your filmage.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's about it.
Anyways,
awesome.
Yeah. So we can start with the professional sets you've worked on. I know one was I forget the name of the show, but the show with the Guy Fieri.
Yes, it's a Guy's Grocery Games on Food Network. It's a Food Network show. They film out in, at least last I checked, Santa Rosa, or Windsor to be specific. It's a little town outside Santa Rosa, California, which is in Napa. I worked there 2021 and the beginning of 2022.
Was it 2 seasons or just 1 season?
So the way I can get into this, if you want, but the way that it works is that they film in month-long blocks, right? And during that month, they film 2 to 3 seasons worth of content. So every day, like every full 12-hour day that they would film usually 2 episodes of 2 to 3 sometimes, or they would start 3 and then continue it, finish it the next day. And it would be episodes from, season 45. I don't remember what seasons I was specifically working on.
There's been that many fucking seasons?
Yeah, the ones that I was working on, I believe, was 41 through 45, somewhere in the early 40s. I don't remember the specific dates, but
I've never heard of the show either, by the way.
Oh, really? You should go check it out. It's pretty fun. It's Just
explain what it is.
Okay, yeah. So every day they would film a couple episodes, and they could be from season 43 or season 45, whatever. It could be different episodes for different seasons, and then they would, have different chefs come in. The way that the show works is that there's 4 chefs that come in at the beginning of the show, and then throughout the show they get whittled down to one winner, and they have to go shop through a grocery store and compete in challenges that guy throws at them. And then, as the contestants leave, then they would go back to the hotels, the PAs such as myself. I should clarify that I was a production assistant on the show. I wasn't anything more. I was just a bitch, essentially.
How many cups of coffee did you get over the period?
For other people?
Yeah.
Oh, I don't know. I wasn't counting. Yeah, I wasn't counting. Coffee, food. I'd bring food to trailers for the contestants and the judges. But yeah, they would cycle in and out the contestants, and then after they would win, and they would just start the next one, and then guy would be there, he would be there for the whole time, and then leave earlier than the crew would and arrive later than the crew would. But he'd be there for the filming and then go home. Yeah. But yeah,
Did you learn anything from that experience, or because I'm guessing you don't want to do necessarily reality TV work, right?
Honestly, after working on that set, I have nothing but praise for these people who worked on that set. They were amazing. They were genuinely the best. I mean, I haven't worked on really any other big professional sets such as that since then. But when I did work there, I was like, I can't believe how organized and efficient they are at this job. Granted, they have been doing this for, at that time, 20 plus years, 21 years or so. So, and a lot of the people who have been working on that have been working on that for years, since the beginning, essentially. So they've, been on there and doing the same thing for, 45 seasons. They got it down. They got it locked down. And the other thing that helps is that they are a locked location. They don't move. When I first got there, they had just moved to a new warehouse, and I helped build the set. So I built the grocery store. I had to help build the shelves, the shelving units, anything like that. They had a whole other team for stocking the grocery store. It's kind of crazy. They have a whole dedicated company that comes and stocks the whole grocery store, and then at the end they would donate the food to food bank.
Oh, nice.
That's cool.
Yeah, it's good they don't toss in the dumpster.
But yeah, to get back to your original question, yeah, I did learn a lot while working there. It taught me, I was pretty new. I hadn't really gotten into production classes at that point in school, so that was really my first experience, hands-on. And so I learned pretty much how professional sets should operate. And that was, pretty beneficial because I went into college and classes knowing how a set, a functioning set, a running set could look, what it should and could look like.
Yeah, because a lot of the time if you're self-taught, completely self-taught, and you kind of grow up in the indie film space, you kind of don't really know how to do anything. You kind of make systems and you figure them out, but it turns out in an industry that has been existent for about a century at this point, that the people who are professional have systems in place and have certain ways that they do things that is ideal or close to perfect and spans the test of time. So
exactly. And they weren't perfect, nobody's perfect, but going, obviously it's the biggest difference going from that to student films. There's can't even describe the difference between that. But, going to, the middle of the road production sets that I've, seen or been on, it's interesting to see how chaotic it can be versus, running, just as it should be and, getting everything on schedule done.
Yeah. Did you ever feel intimidated being on a show with such experienced people?
I did. 100%. I mean, it is intimidating. I mean, these people, execs, I can tell you how I got the job. This is a good life lesson for people learning who are looking for networking. My dad, or I don't remember, one of my parents saw an article in the Davis Enterprise, which is our local newspaper, about an old high school graduate from Davis High who now has a job in the Food Network, and he's an executive producer. So my dad was like, hey, you should just, reach out and contact him. I emailed him, and he responded back the same day or the next day. He's like, yo, you want to set up a Zoom? Great. Set up the Zoom, talked with him about, my experience. At that time, I wasn't, I was online college, and so I wasn't really learning anything, but talked to him. And then at the end of the Zoom, he's like, would you want a job? I was like, great.
Of course.
That sounds amazing. So, he hooked me up and, set me up as a PA at Guys. And it went from there. I worked there two months, like 2 separate filming runs. They would. Sorry.
And you stayed like in Santa Rosa at that hotel?
No. So they would. A lot of the crew flew in from LA, and they would put them up in hotels. But my since I lived in Davis at the time, they considered me a local, so they wouldn't put me up in the hotel. And so my mom had a friend who lives in another town outside of Santa Rosa called Sebastopol, and so I stayed in Sebastopol, and I would just drive over about 25 minutes every morning to go to the set.
If you didn't have that friend, it'd be what, like hour and a half drive?
Longer. It was about like 2.5 hours. I would drive on really early in the mornings because I would usually start set at around 6 to 8. It would vary, but it would be 6 to 8. So I would have to drive really early in the morning, go right to work, and then stay there during the week. And then Friday night, after work, I would drive back to Davis.
Very cool. I guess my kind of going back to film school. What made you decide to do film school? Because Owen and I didn't end up going that route. But for you, what was like the main reason or main driving factor for that decision?
Well, I wanted to go to college. And at the time, I didn't really see myself doing anything else. I enjoyed watching movies. I enjoyed making movies with Owen and you guys. And I didn't really see. I wasn't a math guy. I wasn't a history guy. I was okay at English. I was pretty good at English, but I didn't see myself pursuing that as something. And I thought I would enjoy being on a film set after, helping you and everything. And I think I enjoyed my time there. So I think it was a good idea. But you can hit me.
I guess just more so like wanting to go to college and then you not necessarily knowing what niche you would fit in besides film. Like it was more, it was less so to go to film school specifically and more so to go to a higher education.
I would say it was a mix of both because I did only apply for film at all these schools that I applied to. I got into LMU for film, but it was a film
theory.
Yes, that's the word that I was looking for. It was a film theory, and I didn't want to spend $70,000 on a film theory degree,
right?
Because I wouldn't be having any hands-on production there.
Yeah.
So I did only apply for film at these places, so it was kind of mixed, and I did end up choosing film school over like a school location. If that makes sense. If I would have gone to like Santa Cruz, it would have been a different experience than let's say Northridge.
Like you explicitly wanted the best film school that you got accepted into.
Yeah.
More so than like I want to go to live in San Diego or Santa Cruz for 4 years.
Yeah. So for the people out there, I got into my two top choices were Northridge or Long Beach at the end of the day. The ones that I got accepted into, and I ended up choosing Northridge solely because it was closer to the industry. And I've heard online it's been ranked among the top 25 film schools in the country. So I know it's up there. It's no UCLA or USC, of course, mind you, but it is up there, and it is a nice film school.
Yeah, and then for anyone who isn't geographically like aware, how far is that from LA?
So it's about, I'd say 35 to 40 minutes, depending on traffic. We all know LA. Depending on traffic, it's about to the heart of LA, the studio city, all the studios.
Less than an hour.
Yeah, I'd say, let's just say a base hour. Let's just say a base hour.
So the main reason, though, was just to like get more actual like time on different sets and different productions like that.
Yeah, I figured I would learn a lot more being there.
Yeah.
And having like being forced to have hands-on experience. And I did, I had a lot of different hands-on experience in TV. Like I did multicam studio, so that was with the switcher, how they used to do with, or not used to, but they still do like multicam sitcoms and everything. So did that, and then I would do a single camera in studio class, multicam outside, all these different classes that focus on different aspects.
Yeah. So like
TV
stuff you wouldn't otherwise have done if you didn't.
Yeah. Go. Oh no. I mean, I can't imagine I would have, been able to use those cameras at least for another 10-15 years, have that ability to practice with those big cameras on the wheels and switcher and all that stuff.
It's a big upgrade from the drug lord of a suburban city
sets.
Yes,
for those unaware. And I don't know if it's public or private at the moment, but
unlisted right now.
Okay, it's unlisted, but we made an old video called Drug Lord of a Suburban City.
No, it is film. It was cinema.
Oh, yes.
Of course.
Absolute cinema.
Yes.
But no, it was not like that. It was a bigger, production, and they had an actual studio recently after I graduated, mind you, or not after I graduated, but after I got out of the studio classes, they added a wall, like the LED wall that they used for like the Mandalorian and everything like that.
The virtual production walls?
Yeah, the virtual production walls.
Damn, that sucks.
Yeah, dude. I mean, I saw it in action, which was cool. I saw people using it, and so I know it's there. And if anybody's listening and really wants to get into that aspect of production, go there. They have one.
Yeah. Do you have any regrets about film school?
I have a couple. I mean, I'd say not taking advantage of different roles I could have chosen. I think I stuck with camera, and the way that my school worked, you choose like a track. And so I chose cinematography as a track. They have like 3 other tracks, like producing and a couple others. And I chose cinematography, and once you chose that, they kind of expect you to stay in that lane. So there's 2 sides of the coin where I should have done more to apply myself to get those roles that I wanted, but then also other people already have been doing those roles for a couple years at that point, so they're automatically going to be geared to choose those people.
Sure.
And then also, I don't know, come back to me.
Yeah. I mean, that's kind of cool that, like, within the very, very broad industry of film, that you do have an opportunity to kind of narrow down exactly what you want your skill set to be within that. Because I'm guessing there was, like, cinematography, producing, probably, like,
editing.
Art department, like, production design or anything?
Editing, and then...
Was it direction or no? Probably not. Okay.
No direction. Everybody wanted to be a director.
Yeah, honestly, that's good.
I'm sorry, if you want to look it up online, then.
Yeah, or whatever. It's honestly good that they don't have a directing path, because like nobody fucking makes money being a director.
Yeah, no, and everybody wants to be a director. That's if you went to film school. Not everybody, obviously. I don't. But
yeah.
A lot of people, that's their aspirations. That's what they go into it for. They have a couple directing classes. I took one of them. It was not good. Definitely the professor. Put that out there. I won't say a name, but it was the professor. But I learned about directing, and but it wasn't a specific like go out and direct a thesis. Like you have to fight for that if you want it.
Yeah. So talk to us about the thesis process a little bit, because I mean, I know, and most people probably do, that everyone ends their film school career with a senior thesis capstone that you kind of go all out on. You use your cumulative 4, 3, however many years that you were in the total program to make this senior thesis film. What does that like process look like, and kind of what did you do within that process?
Sure. Yeah. So every college that I know of does a thesis project differently. I've talked to multiple people. I'll give you an example. Well, I'll tell you about mine first. Yeah. So the way that ours works is we have 2 thesis classes with about 20 or so kids in each. Students, not kids, students. But they, at the beginning of the semester, we pitched ideas. Everybody in the class pitched their idea for a thesis. And then everybody votes on those ideas. And then there's 2 people that get chosen for their idea. They can then choose what role they want. Usually they choose director, but sometimes they've stepped back and been a producer or another thing that they wanted to be. And then those 2 people then can start forming their teams. And then each person in the class can go up and lobby themselves, essentially like, prove themselves like, hey, let's say I wanted to be cinematographer. I would go up and I would say, hey, Owen, I want to be cinematography for your project. Here's, some of my work, if they don't know you or your work. If they do know you, then they probably would already ask you. Mm-hmm. But if they didn't, in my case, I didn't know my classmates as much, so I would have to I would talk to them and be like, hey, this is what I've done. This is what I think I would do for your project. And then once that's chosen, then we would start pre-production, budgeting, planning, all of that, writing the script, and then production for a week. We have each group has. Usually they film in about a week. They have about a week. There was issues last semester with the other group in our class that filmed over multiple days. They spent over $10,000 in one weekend. A lot of problems with that one. And then afterwards it's editing, and then at the very end, we do a showcase where you show all of the projects to everybody in the group, and then the next day they have an awards ceremony where like it's like a mini Oscars or mini Emmys, where they would have like, best director, best cinematography, whatever.
Mm-hmm. And so for the budgeting, because I've seen so many fucking GoFundMes or Indiegogos for these senior thesis films. Is that a requirement?
Yeah.
Like
for us, it was.
You have to put together a crowdfunding campaign.
Yeah, because we wouldn't have enough money otherwise. Like you genuinely, like we each have to like go out and we have to contribute money first of all. Like we put in our own money. It depends on how much they need for the budget. If it's a super easy, then your budget's not going to be crazy. But our budget, I think, ended up being, and the total was about $20,000, and we each contributed well over $500 to this project. So then on top of that, we would have to go out and reach out to companies and other people, family members, and raise money through that. It wasn't a GoFundMe, but it was through the school. They had a funder page.
And that money went toward like equipment rentals,
everything,
props, like just
location, actors. We paid the actors. One of the requirements was that we needed a SAG affiliated actor. They had to be in SAG. And then we paid the main actors at least. And then location was a big one. We had like one main theater location, and that was around $6,000-7,000, I believe, for the whole week.
Oh, for a week. Okay.
Yeah, for a week. It struck a deal.
Sure.
Got a good deal from Panavision for our equipment. And the school does give us around $4,000, I think, around that. I wasn't in charge of the money. I was a cam op on my thesis. So I wasn't really hands-on in any of that side of it, but I heard. I was involved with the
Did you ask to be a cam op?
Yeah. Well, truthfully, I was chosen to be director of my thesis class.
And you refused?
No, he was an old Italian guy who was very set in his ways. He had been in the industry for countless years, hasn't been in it for about 10. And he gets his little power trips and thought that I wasn't fit to be director because, as I mentioned earlier, I hadn't had the opportunity to be a director before in these other projects. So because of that, I hadn't proved myself to him. The other classmates, my other classmates, they all want to be directors. So of course they see that the professor is a little hesitant about it. So they, a little sneak attack, and they went in there and they're like, "But actually, we can do this instead." Ended up being that the project that got chosen wasn't any of the ones that was pitched on the first day. It was this girl who went up and brought a script that she had written in high school and was like, "Hey, I have this." And the professor was like, "This is okay." And then, so I was going to be the director of this thesis project. And I told you about it. This is my radio show idea.
Yeah, but then you got booted.
And then I got demoted.
And it was the same group that you were planning on working with?
Same group.
Fuck.
That's like...
So that's an example
bizarre.
Of how cutthroat, I mean, it's just in a class, and this is just in a class, but how cutthroat, the industry, obviously these people aren't out to get me. They didn't have anything personally against me. I didn't do anything to them. They didn't really do anything to me. They're looking at it as, holy shit, this is my moment to, shine, as everybody wants. And then, they try and take advantage of that. And this isn't at USC, UCLA, where, it's a lot more cutthroat and there's arguably bigger stakes at risk.
But you were chosen.
But I was chosen.
I
was chosen twice, actually. They voted twice.
Oh my god!
And the class voted on you.
That's
class
stupid.
Voted on me.
Like it's supposed to be like a student thesis film, and the professor's
so
like, I'm gonna wait.
This is an issue that I tried to take up with the dean of the school. I tried to take up with multiple professors. Nothing happened. He has tenure. He'll probably die in that classroom, if I'm being honest. Like he ain't going anywhere.
Well,
unfortunately,
we'll put the rate my professor in the description. You guys can go.
It's been dropping like flies. I don't know. I put in a bad rate my professor review, and he deleted it. He saw it in class because my ex-girlfriend was in his class this semester after me. He saw my review, made a comment in class, thinking that it was one of her classmates that made that comment, and he got like really upset about it, and then deleted it.
Holy shit!
And then I wrote another one.
Well, they can control their reviews.
Fucking apparently, man. I didn't say, like in that original one, there wasn't any bad language or anything like that. Like it shouldn't have been taken down for profanity. So I don't know.
There should have been.
What's the point of rating your professor if they can just manipulate the results?
Oh my God. I don't know, man.
Jeez. Okay.
But yeah, so that was that whole issue.
Mm-hmm.
That was a very frustrating issue. At the end, I, accepted cam op because I really didn't want to help these people that much. After that, I'm like, I don't really want to get involved.
Yeah, you're like, yeah, I'll hold the camera. Sure, let's give me my fucking piece of paper.
And to rub salt in the wound, it was B cam. We had 2 cameras, and I was B cam op, not A cam.
That's what was like the, I guess for lack of, I mean, not really. What was the like worst, lowest position you could get on a senior thesis? Like, I'm guessing there were no PAs from the group.
No PAs from the group. Everybody got like one of the major roles. Everybody has like a major role. It just depended on how they approach that role. I'd say cam op arguably is one of the lowest because I wasn't in charge of any of the behind the scenes and I wasn't in charge of any of the after. I'd literally worked for a week on this project. Like I helped in the class and come up with ideas such like that when I got home.
Like no creative decisions really.
Not really. I had some ideas here and there that they took into consideration and sometimes implemented, but as a major creative process, I didn't have much stake in it. So
yeah, you're kind of just like hope they do good so I can get my A, baby.
Pretty much, and it did turn out good for what it's worth. I believe it is one of the better student films senior theses that I have seen, in my humble opinion. That's but that's also due to that we had really good actors. I think.
Yeah.
So.
Well, that sounds like a very frustrating.
Oh yes. So film school is not sometimes it's not all cracked up as it is made out to be.
Because realistically, that just kind of reflects the industry as a whole, right? Like,
like
if you don't have that mentality, if you aren't willing to like backstab and slight people, then you're probably not going to get that far in the film industry. I mean, at least in LA.
In LA, especially, yeah, everybody's very competitive there for their jobs. I would apply for, let's say a PA job at Marvel. I applied for about a month ago or so. I was applying for it and I applied for it, got it through. And then I sat back and I'm like, there's all the people my age that are applying for it, all the people in college who've just graduated college. But then there's also all the 40, 50, 60-year-old people who have been in the industry for 50, maybe not that long, but tens of years already, who are out of a job or in the middle of jobs right now, who are also applying for this job. So there's a lot of people like me, not, I don't have as much experience as, other 23-year-olds out there. But even those people don't have as much experience as the other people.
Yeah.
So it's a constant battle to, get seen and noticed, essentially.
What aspect of film school is the most worth it, you think?
Connections. Everybody will tell you that, but it's true. Like, you meet a lot of people. You'll meet, tens, hundreds of people throughout your years there that will most likely go on to do something. It doesn't matter what they do, but if they go on and have a job and you don't at that time, there you go. There's a connection. I met the people in my group regardless of how I feel about them. If one of them starts at Marvel next year, I'm going to go and ask. Because that's what you need to do. You got to keep those connections kind of strong.
Yeah.
And that'll go for, your professors as well. If you meet a professor that you really jive with, and a lot of them are still in the industry working. So a lot of people that I know, not just at my school, but other schools would reach out, talk to their professors, and the professors would get them actual jobs. Maybe it's a gig for a weekend, a week, whatever, or it's a, full-time position. A lot of professors are happy to help out. I recently got in contact with a director, writer, editor guy down in LA who was a prior professor. I didn't know this. I found this out over the call. I just knew that he was, writer, director, editor. And he's like, I was happy to help you out. I didn't even know, who you were really, but I knew that you went to college. And I'm happy to help out anybody who's in college because I was a professor and I helped him out he teaches at USC. He helps him out when he's there and then also off, summer hours. So talk to your professors if you're in film school.
That's cool. Yeah, because that's like a question I always wonder, like what people would say, like, is it going to be like the, I guess, like experience you get from being in film school, like if they put you in productions or whatever. But I think I've always heard it being just like connections. And that's like probably the most important aspect of filmmaking in general. I know Owen and I, like our network has just like ballooned in the last like year and a half, like we went from like knowing like, a couple people to like knowing like a decent amount now where like we could sort of, if we need someone for like a acting role or we're like, we need someone to like, be a boom. Actually, Boom Op's the one that we've somehow don't have enough people that are like in that space. But in general, like we have like a solid team here up in Davis, California.
Yeah, no, I mean it's definitely, you'll find people everywhere. It's just the different niches. You know, up here it'll be more, I assume, more focused on, you know, commercial side of it, businesses, weddings, the sort. Because I don't think there's any movie TV studios up here, as far as I know, right?
I don't know. There is an interesting thing though in Sacramento kind of happening right now, where I think like you're noticing more and more feature films getting shot here. I know Paul Thomas Anderson just did his most recent film. They shot some of it in Sacramento.
Yeah, I remember seeing the opening shot of the trailer for that movie is the one that was shot in Sacramento.
Yeah, that's cool. So like I think there's maybe some it's slowly kind of becoming like a somewhat of a film hub.
That's an important thing that we have to look out for, is like, or anybody everywhere, is like, if you hear of a film that's being shot in your town, look into PAing there. Because you know, I had a friend who went to SF State, and he didn't do it, unfortunately, but he knows a couple of people who did. When Oppenheimer was shooting it at UC Berkeley, a couple of his friends went and PA'd for it, because it was just in, you know, across the bay.
How did they find that?
I don't know. I didn't ask.
At least when like, do you know how to find the PA jobs or anything like that?
There's a bunch of different websites. You know, there's some down in LA specific, and then Backstage is always a good one. You can sort through crew on that. You can upload crew positions to that, not just acting on it. But there are websites. If not that, you can always just, you know people. That's the other thing.
Email people.
Email people. I know. I was talking to that director guy the other day, and he was saying he met this other 20-something-year-old who met him solely because he was cold emailing every single director on like the list of like eligible directors for like Emmys or something like that. It was like a list of directors, and he was just cold emailing every single director, probably not getting a response, but this guy happened to respond, and then they struck up a friendship, and now he's getting, you know, they're in contact, and they, you know, can help each other out with productions and such.
And it is like a numbers game too at the end of the day. Like it doesn't matter how much effort you put into your cold email, like 90% of the time you're not going to get a response.
No. Yeah, you can, but on the off chance that you do, then it might be the rest of your career, you know?
That's why I have to send out hundreds of them.
Exactly.
Yeah. I did some cold emails for this podcast trying to get some guests, but no responses.
I'll see if I can get anybody for you guys that I know.
Oh yeah, no, that'd be great if you have like anyone that would be interested.
I'm trying to think. I have my old roommate works at Fox Sports as a editor there, or now he's a producer actually. He's an associate producer at Fox Sports. No, Antonio.
Oh.
And then his cousin is working at DreamWorks as the assistant to the directors of the newest announced original Pixar movie, or not Pixar, DreamWorks. Sorry.
Oh yeah.
So maybe.
I mean, there are definitely things in LA.
Oh yeah.
But
Los Angeles.
Yeah. Can't wait till it moves to Georgia or Chicago or something.
Yeah, anywhere but LA.
I don't know if I would ever want to like do anything there in LA with film, unless it's like, of course, I'm like, you know, it's like something that's cool. Well, in terms of like my own sort of thing, like not if I was like gonna take a job for someone doing a production in LA, like sure, but in terms of like if I were to like make a film and I'm like, oh, let's go film in LA, I would probably one of the last places I choose, just for how expensive it is and how ridiculously.
Well, that's okay because nothing is shooting in LA anyways. So.
Exactly, everyone's
that's probably
leaving.
why.
Yeah, well,
like the permits are fucking absurd.
Yeah, that's pretty much the exact reason why, is because it's so ridiculously expensive to get permits to film. I mean, we experienced that somewhat. We would have to request permits to film at, you know, if we were filming 2 shots at a bus station, it'd be like, oh, you got to go get a permit for that.
And what's the process for that?
I don't know.
I
would know someone. You can cut that part out. But I would say I don't know personally because I was never a producer in it, but you would get in contact. There's certain websites or organizations that work with the city that you would reach out to get the permit, and then they would approve it. You would say exactly how long you're going to be there, what you're doing, exactly what equipment you're going to have there, and they get in contact with then. They have a specific police squad that is meant for filmmaking. So all these police cars will drive around to every registered set that they know of. That's why they have the permits. And so they'll drive to the set, say, "Oh, can we see your permit? This happened to us." That's why I know how this happens. But they would, come to you and say, "Do you have your permit?" If you don't, you're screwed. The rule is you can't have like the camera on the ground, so you can't really use like a tripod. If you're running around with the gimbal, then I think you're okay. But like as long as it's not like a big production, they're probably not gonna come over and talk to you. But when we were doing it, we had the flags up, you had the cameras, the booms, everything was going on. So regardless of if we had permit or not, the cops pulled over.
Interesting. So they're there to like make sure that you have a permit. They're not actually there to like.
They want money.
Oh my gosh. Okay, I thought when you were saying that, I was like, oh, that's cool. They send a police squad to like defend the production.
Oh no, they don't care. I mean, like obviously they do care, but
right.
I'll shit on LAPD all I want on this podcast. Fuck them.
Yeah.
Fuck the pigs. Especially them.
Well, we're right next to a police station, so
okay, let's strike that. You can keep in the fuck the LAPD. They suck. But
they have a camera somewhere on this side. I think I saw
they
there.
Their patrol drone.
Oh my god! Yeah, so this is kind of funny. It's a bit off topic, but yeah, the police station right here. We hear them flying around this like little tiny drone, and I don't know why. I think it's just like for fun, because like I don't know why they would fucking. It's like really small.
Like on break.
And then one day, Owen and I we're walking by it, and we just saw it like all like a bunch of just drone pieces all over this like the parking lot, because they fucking flew it into the fucking tree. And then we fucking saw it on the ground. The guy was just like standing right next to it. We're like, oh, okay. Well, there goes the
poor guy.
Yeah,
it's like an FPV drone or something.
Yeah, I don't know why they would have that.
Taxpayers' dollars at work.
True.
Yes. And then and I think like this is actually on topic. I think you were mentioning something about the natural or not natural. What's it called? State parks, natural.
The permitting for that.
Because there's like no more requirement for some certain
yeah
permits.
Bless Joe Biden, baby. Apparently now for if you want to film in a national park, you can, as long as you have 6 or less people.
Whoa.
For commercial purposes as well, like permit free, no money
and
getting
not
paid
like an
them.
actual. It has to be like a commercial. Or?
No, like you can. As before, it was only like for like hobbyist purposes. Like if you wanted to do any commercial stuff or make a film or whatever, you have to go through their horrendous permitting process. But now it's like if your crew is 6 or less, you can film whatever you want, as long as you're like not impeding other people who are visiting.
Well, what's your plan? When are we going?
Oh, we had some ideas for some stuff.
We're driving over next week to do a location scout.
For which park?
Yosemite.
Oh yeah.
No.
Hey man, I don't know. That's a good location. Imagine your opening shot is just Half Dome and everything.
I don't know about drones.
No. I mean, you could just have like a little dolly or something, and
yeah,
that would be a kind of sick goal. Honestly, just go over there for like write some sort of film that's solely shot in Yosemite and bring 5 other people and stay in 2 nights or whatever.
Yeah,
and just have it all shot over a 3-day period or something.
Yeah. Oh man, that'd be fun.
But okay. some of the requirements are pretty vague, because it says 6 people for like, but I don't know if that includes cast and crew or exactly like what's going on there. And then it's also like sort of up to their discretion, right? If you are, because I think it's also like, if you are, like the rule is like you need 6 or less people. You can't be disruptive to the other people in the area, right? Like to hikers and stuff.
I'm not so. I think I was telling you about the state park permitting process.
Oh, that's not for national parks?
No.
Okay.
For national parks, that was a thing. I don't know about like the stuff for national parks, but I shot a commercial. I helped someone shoot a commercial at Mount Tam by an SF. And he was talking to me about the permitting process and how it's actually pretty easy to get a permit for filming in a state park.
Good to know.
Yeah, I'll just talk about it if anyone who's in California is interested. There's 2 different types of permits. There's a simple permit and a complex permit. And then this is where it gets kind of goofy. The hard line in the sand is 15 people. So if you have more than 15 people on set, it automatically becomes a complex permit. And the difference is simple permit, you pay $250 for a day, for a whole day of shooting. Complex, you have to hire one of the rangers and give him like an hourly rate to like supervise and make sure people are safe and shit.
Yeah.
The goofy part is a permit can be converted from simple to complex at the discretion of the person issuing it. And one of the things that can make it turn into a complex permit is if you are filming on any publicly accessible like trails or hikeways. And where the fuck are you gonna film if you're not filming on that? But like, I bet they don't care if it's like a fucking no-name.
It probably depends
film
on who stops you.
Yeah,
and how well they know of this law. And
I mean, maybe this is the state park thing. Just like, because if you are like getting issued a complex permit, you have to pay one of the rangers no matter what, and so it like 8x's the cost or something. Because you have to pay more money now for the permit and pay them like I think the guy I was talking to paid him like $110 an hour.
Yeah, I mean, I can somewhat speak on that. I don't know how much the exact cost was, but on one of our sets, we filmed at a public park, and we had to pay for a park monitor to come and watch the set. I'm assuming it was around $100 an hour. Yeah. So he was there for like 6 hours or whatever, how long we were there. That's that's a good chunk of change.
Sitting,
and he was just chilling,
twiddling his thumbs.
No, he was smoking.
Hell
playing some Clash of Clans.
Yeah, he was chilling. But
interesting.
And then on top of that, the permit.
Yeah.
Because if they come over and see you filming, and they'll hit you with even more money.
Yeah.
Go for it. Just kind of going back to you being a cam op, what camera did you use?
Yeah. I used on the thesis.
Yeah. Or just
Arri Alexa Mini LF. We had 2 of them.
Big boy camera.
It was a big boy camera.
How was that experience?
Oh, lovely. Honestly, because I was cam op, but we had 2 ACs for both cams. I don't really handle the camera that much. They all, they would get it set up for me and everything, hand it to me, and then I would shoot it. But for that part, it was lovely. It seemed, pretty easy to put together and take apart and work as intended.
Very nice. I mean, it was out of curiosity because we've Owen has a bit of an upgrade. Obviously, we got the red Komodo right here filming us.
Better than the LF.
And and we before that we were using the Sony FX3 for our films. And would you ever go back to using that for if it was like for like as like an A cam?
Yeah. If I had to.
If it was just like, for some reason, it would make more sense to.
I mean, definitely different tools for the job, right?
Yeah.
If we're talking about narrative, I would try my best to avoid it, just because of the things I like about the Red, like the form factor, the fact that it's heavier is actually beneficial a lot of the time. The fact that I've built it out to have like the integrated V-mount plate, all that like kind of bullshit. If we're talking about documentary and stuff like that, though, fucking FX3 all day. Like the Red and the FX3 are very different tools for very different jobs. I'm still like using the FX3 on some shoots as like a B cam, and since I've actually been, I guess, like I learned how to correctly color grade, it's like damn near identical.
Yeah.
Like you can get it to be identical pretty quickly, but like nowadays camera technology in general is so good that all that you are paying for is like, name brand, of course, but also like non image features of the camera, like how easy it is to use on set, the type of IO you get on the camera, stuff like that.
Is there a reason why I don't use iPhone? Because that's pretty simple to use.
Because the sensor is smaller than my pinky fingernail.
But sensor size doesn't matter.
Because
the FX3 is full frame.
That iPhone is it's obviously not comparable to the Red, but if you're just making some short stuff, it works.
If you know what you're doing, you can make any camera look like anything.
I mean, you guys know that the new movie coming out this weekend is shot entirely on iPhone with lenses and stuff, but
which is fake.
28 years later was shot on an iPhone with a big ass rig attached to the iPhone, granted, but the base camera is an iPhone, so it is possible.
I mean, I think the original. I actually haven't seen any of the films, but
great, go watch them.
I will. But I think the original one was also shot on like this like really like.
It's like a little like DVR, like it was like a mini like camcorder essentially, and so it's just this gritty raw movie where you're just running through the streets of London, and it's just
in like 480p. I think. Yeah, it was.
It's
it was
like
shot
super
in
blurry.
Yeah, it's a fucking like super popular film shot in fucking 480p.
Cillian Murphy.
With Cillian Murphy, yeah.
This is 28 days
28
later?
days later is the first
And
one.
then-
Okay, and then weeks, and then
28
years.
weeks, then years.
And
They
then
skip
now
the months.
decades at some point
Yeah.
coming up soon.
28
me in the
millennia
future.
later,
Yeah.
we're on Mars.
It's like, yeah, it's on Mars and the zombies have flown.
Yeah. All right. So Carson, you're out of film school now.
Yeah.
What do you? I know you said this is a trigger question, but what do you want to do in the film world? What do you like to do? What do you like to do?
I would like to honestly try working in like the producing, maybe ADing department. I feel like I'd be good fit for that. I work well with other people, and in the film industry, having a good personality does go a long way. You know, you always hear all the horror stories about how mean everybody is on sets and how unhappy and just rude everybody is, and you know, there are those people still, granted, but for the most part, what I've noticed, especially on guys, is everybody wants to help each other, and if you're nice to them, they're going to be nice back to you, and it'll go a long way, and you'll get the job done quicker. So I feel like I'm good at, somewhat good at that, so I'd like to try doing that.
And then you said that you had your senior thesis film like written, right?
I didn't have a script.
Okay, you just had the concept.
I had the concept for it. I had, a little bit of world building.
Would you ever want to try to like just make it?
I would. I was thinking before I came over here, I was like, what if I just like gave you guys the concept of it and see what we could work with it?
Yeah, like literally, like I think I've told you this before. Like fuck, like I don't know, I guess film groups. Like let's just give us the concept and let's try to just make that shit.
Okay, I'll pitch it to you guys.
All right.
Sky is working at a radio station late at night. He's a solo host, and he gets a call, like a call-in. He has a call-in segment of his show. Gets a call. It's this guy on the other end, and he's like, I have these 2 people kidnapped. They're being held hostage, and just need you to stay on line. He's talking to him, everything, and then at the end of the line, he's like, I'm your brother, and they're brothers, and then so he has to kind of figure out a way to alert the police, but he's trying to care for his brother at the same time. And if you guys want the reveal at the end, there's a twist in it that it wasn't the brother, but it was somebody using an AI voice modulator, using the voice of the brother the whole time to try and get off scot-free, get the best of both worlds.
When did you come up with that?
That was 2023. No.
Okay, so AI was kind of already
2024.
Okay, AI was already around and flourishing.
Yes, 2024. Yeah.
Okay, makes sense.
And if you did it, you'd probably give it to someone else to write, and you'd probably just take a producing role on it.
Yeah.
You wouldn't want to direct it.
Maybe, but if I know Jake over here is a big, or both of you, but Jake more so, right? You're more so the director.
Direct? I don't direct at all.
Okay.
Yeah,
so.
because the last film you helped us out with,
Old Wounds,
Old
baby.
Wounds was easily my least favorite film I've done.
Because you were on set, of course.
Because
one day that I came just fucking soured the whole experience.
Yeah. How many was that? 3 days? 2
It
days?
was just 2.
I was only there for 1 day.
Okay. For some reason, I remember that production being way longer than it actually was.
It was only 2
You guys
days.
spent a night though. That's probably why.
Oh, that's true. Oh, because it kind of was 3.
Technically 3.
Because we did film some stuff that morning. That was the
I
beginning.
still follow that actress Jasmine on Instagram. She's been doing good.
She's killing it.
She's been doing good for herself. Good for her.
She was just in a Fuji commercial.
Yeah, she's been doing a lot of commercial work, which is great work. You get good, like decent money from those. I've heard. So
yeah, she'd be good to have on the podcast.
Yeah, get her.
Just like
she's in Smell A though.
Smell A.
Yeah. Come on, let's shit on LA some more. It's hot. It's humid. No, it's not humid. What am I saying? It's not humid. It's hot and it's packed with cars and people.
Exactly. She's doing a really good job. I'm good. You connected or what's it called, networked on our sets. But anyway, going back to the point. Yeah, that was the last time I think Owen and I split the director role into like co-director. And since then he has done more producer and DP. I've just been director writer.
Okay.
And I think our films have had a noticeable shift in quality. I think they have gotten better. Obviously we're still figuring out exactly how to navigate those roles, because now it's like a lot more. I guess he has to do a lot more now with camera, and I have to do a lot more now with like directing. So we're still trying to figure out our own roles within that, but I think for the most part, it's been a good shift.
Yeah, I mean, and it's also kind of difficult to tell whether the shift in quality or whatnot is because of that, I guess.
I mean, it's also as you guys do more films, you're just going to
keep better anyway. Yeah.
And keep getting better every single short film. That's why it's good to try these different roles to see what you guys are good at.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I think at least for me, it definitely allows me to focus more on like just the cinematography aspect of it.
Yeah.
So I don't have to worry about actor performances and shit.
Yeah, I mean that's also something I'm struggling with too, where I'm like trying to figure out, because I kind of have like notes for myself every time I'm done with a production. I'll be like, okay, no matter what, always have notes for the actors after the first take, even if they did like flawlessly, even unless it's like we're like really behind, then I'll be like, okay, whatever, like that's it, we got it, no need to do that. But I try to like figure out some ways I can, I don't know if that makes any sense, but I don't know, I'm just trying to like forcing myself to like actually direct and not just kind of be like, that was good, you guys did good.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's, I learned in the directing class and also watching different directors and how they approached it. It's good. Definitely feedback is the biggest thing you need to do. That's like your one role, not one role, but you got to talk to the actors and listen to them and see what their thoughts on their characters are and any ideas that they may have, because they might have better ideas than you. You never know.
Yeah, that's also the thing too. Is I like to be I'm very open about like the creative process for my stuff. Like if someone has a suggestion, I won't shut them down, even if they're like just a boom op, or like I don't really care who like this. Again, we're also small, so I can kind of easily say that if we're on a production that has like 20, 30 plus people, it might be a bit exhausting to be like listen to every single person all the time. But for the size of our sets, it's been easy to do that.
So are you interested in working with my pitch, my idea? Does that sound like a doable?
Yeah, we'll definitely talk about it more after once we wrap. But yeah, no, that does sound like a interesting idea.
Coming in winter of 2026.
Yes.
26. Oh.
It'll be released with GTA 6.
Oh. I can't wait that long for GTA.
Double feature.
Yeah. All right. Do you have anything else?
Yeah.
I still have to talk about the TikToker.
Yeah.
Oh, actually, I forgot about that. Yeah, do that. So, do you want to name him?
Yes.
Who did you work for?
I worked with Cobby Lame.
He's okay. I do know him. Okay. He's is he the most followed?
He is the most followed person on TikTok ever.
Yeah.
In the world.
Unseated McQueen, Charlie D'Amelio.
Unseated. Yep. Unseated Charlie. Haven't seen what she's up to, but he's the guy who does, for the people who don't know, he's the guy who doesn't talk in any of the videos, and his main thing is he shrugs and holds his hands up, out, palms outstretched for the people listening.
Riveting content.
What a fucking career, yeah.
Yeah, he kind of just, he stitches videos and, reacts and, does, why didn't you do this? You should have done this the easier way. I don't really know how else to describe it. It's a goofy way that he made his following. But so I worked with him about 10 times as a personal assistant to him.
And what were you assisting him with?
But no, I helped him with shooting a couple videos and cleaning around the house. I spent a lot of time just chilling out the house. If he needed anything, I was just there. Like literally just a personal assistant. Needed to go out, get food. Would go out and get food. Went out to lunch a couple times with him.
It's like a permanent PA type.
Yeah, pretty much. And then, went out and played basketball a couple times. It's pretty chill. Helped him film a couple videos, but one notable one was we went to a warehouse that had a bunch of airplane sets. So they had like a half airplane. They had runway. Not a runway, but they had the TSA terminal and everything. And he was filming a stitch with Mr. Bean. Do you know Mr. Bean?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Oh, it's old. Rowan Atkinson is the name of the actor.
You would know the.
It's like an old British comedy series, and he was just stitching like an old clip with like new footage per se. But I did have a role in that. I was an extra.
Oh, nice.
So did see how that filming process went, and that was interesting. As the most followed person in TikTok, his crew was couple 20-something-year-olds and his manager, who was probably 30. And it was just us filming on a phone, running around maybe an hour. And that was the whole video. There was no big production, no crazy camera setup or anything like that. I was literally just had the idea in mind. Just as you guys, everybody else does TikToks, that's just how the biggest TikToker in the world does them.
Yeah.
It's just the same way that you and I do it.
And how did you get that job?
I last year had somebody that I'm friends with he's an editor, and he has like 3 different jobs. I don't know what businesses or companies, but he gave my number to people in his company. They called me one time and they asked me if I could work the next day. I couldn't. Then they said, okay, thanks. We'll keep your number on file. And then about a month or so later, I got a call. Hey, can you come in and work with talent tomorrow? I was like, oh, I guess I can. I'm free. Whatever. They didn't tell me who it was. Showed up and it was him. I was like, holy shit. This is a big name. And yeah, that's pretty much it. I literally just got a call because somebody had my number. And they just called me out of the blue and like, can you help us?
What did he do? What controversy were you?
Oh, yes, I forgot. He got deported by ICE.
Really?
Yeah,
I did hear that. Okay.
He overstayed his visa. So it
that
actually
be like pedophilia or something.
No, it was actually not. I don't think I haven't researched super into it, but as far as I know, it was his fault. So
Interesting.
He overstayed his visa and got kicked because he's Italian and Senegalese. So
interesting. Okay.
He went back to Italy. So that is also answers your question of I'm not going to be working with him anytime soon.
Because he's not here anymore.
Yeah, because he's not in the States. And I'm not going to Italy for that. But he did stay in incredibly nice houses, overlooking LA. Beautiful. Lived the life of luxury, I'll tell you that. But he was a pretty chill guy, for the people online who are Khaby Lame fans. I can, confirm that he's a nice guy. He does talk.
He's an ice guy.
Yeah, he's an ice guy. But he, I don't know if you have any questions about that experience. I don't,
Yeah, was it enjoyable?
It was interesting, I'd say.
Why to say that?
I didn't really know what my purpose was being there. You can cut that. You can a lot of this.
Well,
you're gonna cut.
I mean, like that makes sense though. Like you just kind of.
I don't know. Yeah, I mean, I wasn't asked to be like, oh, can you be a PA? Oh, can you manage his locations for the things? I wasn't given a specific role when I got.
Hey, can you come help?
Yeah, they asked me, hey, can you come help? So every day I would be like expecting, oh, can you be this one person, do this one thing for today. And it was never like that. I would just show up and just kind of hang out until they told me something to do. And if they did tell me something to do, it was never something really major.
Okay. Because that actually is sort of similar to like what kind of happens on our, like the last film we did, we had like a giant crew and there's a couple people where we just kind of had them there. And I felt bad because I was like, what do we do with them? Like I don't want them to like just kind of sit here and like watch us. So was it sort of like that? You were just kind of like existing and then until they summoned you to do something? Yeah,
pretty much. I mean, these shifts weren't very long either. It ranged from like 2 to 4 hours. I would get a free meal out of it at a nice Italian restaurant every day.
That's cool.
So, it's a good party story. It was a good, and it was interesting to hear about, or see how the biggest TikToker in the world, interacted with people and filmed this content. Because it was kind of he just saw a video and then was like, hey, I can make something with this. He didn't have a schedule planned out for his next videos. Maybe if he had a collaboration with something, with a corporation or a company or something, then he would, plan that out in advance. But for the most part, no, it was just saw a funny video and was like, okay, let's order some props online, go get them from the store, whatever. Can make it right here in the house. A lot of his videos were just filmed in the kitchen or living room in his house.
Yeah, I mean, also like the sitting around thing that Jake was talking about. That is just kind of what happens on film sets too. A lot of the time,
you're gonna run into it.
Yeah, especially with G&E stuff, Grip and Electric. Because we had Kyle Miller on the show like 3 episodes back. Check that one out. Shameless plug. But we were on the set of Death Knows My Name. Just like a quick one location, 1 day film that we did, and he came out to help with lighting. And how it kind of works with Grip and lighting is, you set up a light, you set up a flag, set up a grid, whatever the hell you need to, and then you just sit there for like 20 minutes, 25 minutes
until the next shots
as the take gets done.
Yeah.
And he was kind of mentioning like, hey, is this? He was talking to like one of his really, I guess his professor who's been doing this for a long time, like a really really good professor and really good film guy. And he kind of asked his professor, was like, hey, is this kind of what film sets are like? The professor's like, yep. Yeah, there's a lot of sitting around after you are frantically doing something for 7-8 minutes. You sit there for half an hour.
Yeah. I mean, as if you're not directly involved with, the camera or acting, then you're just chilling, waiting for the next shot. I saw that on guys, not just me, but if I didn't have anything to do, I would just do laps around the warehouse. Yeah. Because they're genuinely, they don't need you at every single waking minute of the time.
Yeah.
And then, you would see it on the student films too. A couple of times, there's an actor even where she didn't need to be there and she was just kind of hanging out. And, I noticed and I was like, went up to the producer. I was like, does she need to be here right now? And they're like, oh shit. Gotta get her out of here. Like, she was supposed to be gone like an hour ago.
Mm.
Yeah, and that's kind of like what we did, because we just shot a short film, 2 weekends ago. And it's like a 3-person film, and all the scenes have character 1 in them, but he's basically alternating between interacting with character 2 and character 3, for the scenes. And I guess it's just part of the territory, because obviously the third person knew that she had a scene coming up, but while we were busy filming the scene with the second person, she was just kind of chilling there for 90 minutes or something.
Yeah.
It just comes with the territory of it.
Yeah, it gives you a nice break too. I mean, you're there for 12 hours. You gotta take the time off when you can. So
yeah. What are your next steps in terms of learning and advancing your film knowledge?
Working with you.
That was my question.
Fucker, eat shit.
Fuck.
I'm in contact with that writer-director guy. I'm getting in contact with another guy who's based in Seattle soon. Honestly, my answer was truthful.
Yeah.
I think working with you guys will further, at least up here, because you guys are really the only people up here that I know
we'll get you introduced to people. Don't worry.
Yeah, and then that grows, and then I can help you guys, and so forth, and it's all networking, as they say online.
Way to invite yourself into our network.
Into our sets.
Okay, never mind. Let's strike that. You guys, how about you start over and you guys invite me, and then we'll go yeah.
No, it's not going to happen.
We are not checking that.
No.
But yeah, just kind of I guess the goal, do you want to dip your toes into commercial work?
Yeah, I think so. I'm honestly open for anything right now. I'm not glued to narrative. I'm not glued to commercials. I'm not glued to whatever else there might be, music videos, anything like that. I'm not glued to anyone. Docs. Yeah.
Everything, yeah.
I'm not glued to it. I'm just happy to be in it.
Yeah. So I know you talked with me a while ago about how you would much rather get an in-house job than be a freelancer.
Yeah.
Is that just a personality thing?
Yeah, I think so. I think freelancing, especially in LA, is really big right now. And
I mean, in LA, I could imagine it fucking sucks balls.
Yeah, I mean, it's not good. I mean, for me personally, it's just, not maybe as inclined to do that as other people, and that's just a me thing. That's nothing against other people. It's just not for me.
Yeah.
And down in LA, it's a lot of freelancing because you're really lucky to get an office job, a sit down job, anything like that. So
yeah, because I mean, there are pros and cons of both. Right?
Yeah.
Obviously, freelance, you have a shit ton of control over your schedule. That comes with lack of stability or guarantee or whatever. You basically have to live like you make $30K a year all around because you don't know if you're gonna get paid next.
Exactly.
But also you probably have I would imagine freelancing peaks and valleys, where working an office job, being an in-house somewhere is kind of a line, where it's consistent work, whatever, you get paid consistently. Freelancers, you have those months where you make $12,000, and then the next one you get one job and make $500.
Yeah, I mean, there's also, I'd say, different levels of freelancing, because you'd have the freelancers who have a lot of experience and they'll be freelancing with the big films, even the people doing cam ops, grips, whatever on those big sets are, usually all freelancers.
Yeah.
And then there's the freelancers like our age who usually they can't get picked up because they don't have enough experience. So they'll be freelancing with other student filmmakers and stuff like that. And there's usually more smaller films that you can freelance on, but a lot of those are hard to find paid ones.
Yeah.
So that's, at least in LA where I was, that was a thing that I was struggling with, is, I would see all of these, listings for unpaid things. And I would do some of them occasionally, but, you can't live off of unpaid student filmmaking if you're living in LA or anywhere realistically, but in LA especially. So, you're forced to get other jobs, and that limits your time to go do other sets, all this.
Yeah, I mean, also, like, by definition, like, film work is a freelance job, right? Like, even, like, Hollywood DPs, they work for 2-3 months at a time, and then they have to start looking for the next Hollywood project.
Oh, yeah, no, definitely it is. You have to just establish yourself so that your freelancing is more stable. The people who worked on Guys, the Grip and Electric, for example, were like one team, and they would just bounce from Food Network show to Food Network show. And like that's their freelancing, I'd say, is they would get, signed by Food Network to do it, but they're still going from place to place.
Yeah.
Interesting. Good to wrap it up there, maybe?
Yeah, so Carson, for anybody who wants to follow you, check out any of your future projects that you work on, check out what you're doing, where can they do that?
Yeah, you can follow me on Instagram at carson.bain, Bain.
Yeah, we'll do the link.
Anywhere else?
Let me think. I don't upload onto my YouTube really that much.
Yeah. I actually have one question for you real quick.
Oh boy. I do need to add. I'm gonna add on like a sentence about thesis films that you can put into earlier in the conversation.
Go for it. Sure.
At NYU, for example, they had their thesis films. Each person in the class would have a thesis film, so there was like 90 thesis films instead of just 2.
Interesting.
That is the sentence.
Oh.
Okay, hit me with this fucking question. I know some BS.
No, I just had a quick question.
This is a serious question.
Yeah. So, you're pretty involved in the online like movie space, right? Like you follow movies a lot.
Sure, yeah, I'd say that.
Yeah. You said, and I quote,
"Oh my God, where's this going?"
Ana de Armas's face card is lethal too. Holy moly, put her in more, please.
I stand by that.
What did you mean by that statement?
Ana de Armas is bad. Keep that on in the podcast. That is exactly what that meant. I want Ana de Armas in more movies, please.
Anyways, we'll throw his social media in the description. If you want to check me out, I'm at owencard.dp on Instagram. Once again, that'll be down below. Jake, where are you?
I am at jcrossbell on Instagram. And if you want to check out our most recent episode, we did it with Luke Ring. Wait, is that?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think because I'm going to put this one up next.
Yeah. So check out the podcast we just did with Luke Ring. That'll be up here on the screen. And then also subscribe if you haven't already.
Yes, 100 subscribers.
Woo.
Yes. 100 subscriber special coming out next week with Mr. I don't want to spoil it,
Mr.
actually.
Beast is coming on the podcast?
Mr. Beast, 100 subscriber special.
Holy.
Check it out.
Only Mr. Beat.
Mr. Beat.
Mr. Beat.
Oh my God.
Or Mr. Bean.
All right, goodbye.
Goodbye.